Welcome back for take 2. Am I still not Barry?
You're good.
Okay, thank God. All right.
Gucci.
Last week we re-rolled the whole thing and I was still Barry, so we gotta make sure that we're okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Technical Alpha podcast. It is Friday, July 14th, 2017, despite the fact that I'm still living during July 8th, 2017 for whatever reason. I'm just struggling this week to keep track of time. We've got a good show for you lined up here today. We've got Mr. MaximusBlack fresh off the presses from the strip down south. Survived yet another trip down there. Did you see Celine?
Yeah. I didn't.
Fresh man coming back from Vegas.
Did not see Celine. I wanted to again, but none of the boys were having it. None of the boys were having it.
Not
No.
one
Then
of
you
the
go
guys
solo,
were like,
man.
I could. Oh, that's awful.
Go
I'd be
solo for
salty.
Celine.
I'd be solo. Yeah, I'd go solo, Celine.
Yeah, you know, if I didn't see her before, I definitely would have went by myself, but I've already seen her, so I'll probably save it for the next time Kayla's down Vegas with me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Well, we are here.
All right,
we are
all
good
right.
to go. What do you got, Panic? What were you trying to say, bro?
No, what do you mean? What was I trying to say? I was saying Jeff can't be fresh if he just went to Vegas. We all know what happens.
Oh, true. Yeah, no. There's definitely
Can't
some
be dropping.
form of
Can't be
AIDS.
dropping false advertising. And we got a fresh Jeff here.
Buckets of ice with champagne and buckets of cocaine next to them. That's like the entire Vegas week.
We had fun. We went to a strip club, obviously.
My cam is busted.
Rip
What?
your
Oh.
webcam.
How
But
is
while
that
you're
even
fixing
possible?
that, yeah, we did the strip club. We went to
Gotcha.
Sapphires again. It's a decent spot. The boys all spent way too much money. I historically spent the most I've ever spent in the strip club.
Really?
And it was mainly because, I mean, I spent maybe like $240 for myself, but I spent a bunch on the other guys because 3 of them had never been to a strip club before in their life. So, and, you know, they had, you know, so just to paint a picture, I have a good member of the fellowship that has been around a long time. He's a poker pro. I won't say his name, but he hooks up. He's my guy. You know, some people go to Vegas and they have a guy in Vegas that, you know, takes care of them. Well, he takes care of us. So he made a phone call, and the last couple of times I went to Vegas, we have a limo that picks us up at the hotel, and they take us to the strip club, and they take us to the back entrance. We get free cover. We just tip the limo driver well. We get free cover. We go in, and when we walk in the back door, there's a lineup of girls, and there's 6 of us, and they're all just lined up waiting for us in the back. And the girls know, typically, when you show up in the back, you've got money. And so obviously the girls are going to try and pin you down
Extra
the moment you
hard.
get in there.
The dial goes to 11.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we walk in, and the boys weren't expecting this. I knew it was coming because I've done this before. But the boys, when you go from never being in a strip club before to backdoor entrance in your own VIP area, bottle service, and you've got girls waiting for you, it's a bit much. So we walk in, and the girls basically they have like 10 seconds to figure out who they're going to pounce on. So they all one girl grabs me, another girl grabs the other guy or the other guys, and then Matt had 2 chicks, so a chick on each arm, right? Matt's walking in going,
oh my God, Matt, of
he's
course.
like, oh yeah, this is great. And we all go down. They escort us over to our VIP area, and we got bottle service. And I don't want to say too much because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but let's just say we had a good time, and the boys ended up spending pretty much all their money in the first hour. Because these girls are,
God.
I'm telling you right now, man, these girls are ruthless. They don't give a fuck, man. They want your money, and they're good at getting your money. You're drunk. You've got half-naked girls all over the place. They're sitting on your lap, telling you everything you want to hear. It's hard to say no. It's easy for me to say no because I've been there and done that before, and I know what their motives are. And it doesn't matter how strong you go in there, you're gonna break down. So we ended up staying there for a little while until one of the guys decided he was going to power puke, and basically that was the show. So then
ends the show right there.
And we went, left through the back door. Limo took us back to the hotel and Bob's your uncle. So we did the strip club. We walked the strip. We went to a lot of different casinos because typically what people do when they've never been to Vegas before, they go and they just get a dollar chip from every casino just as a souvenir.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can say, when you look at a chip, you can kind of visualize what the casino looks like and stuff. So we went around and collected a bunch of chips. I got a few that I didn't have before, so that was good. Did a lot of gambling. Played some poker. Played cash one day. Lost $60 because it was I only played for maybe an hour and a half. It wasn't very long. So I didn't really have a chance to sit down and really play. But then I played a tournament on the last day. I had $120 to my name, and I knew I was going to spend that in a half hour playing craps if I ran bad. So I was like, you know what? I'll play a tournament. I'll get 4 hours if I run good. I'll get 4 hours of gameplay, and it'll be worth my $80. You get free drinks and stuff, and just chat and have a good time. And the WSOP was going on. We stayed right at the Rio. So, there's poker pros everywhere. So I was like, okay, I'll go play some cards. I ended up just playing really good.
Surprisingly well.
Pardon me?
Did really well. Hotted the streamer.
Yeah.
He did insanely well this time around.
Yeah. I saw a bunch of streamers there, a bunch of different pros, but I ran well. I ended up getting to the final table, and top 6 paid. We ended up getting to 6th place. And so to put this in poker terms, the bubble is where you're one person off of getting paid. So say if top 6 pay, 7 is the bubble. Nobody likes to go out as number 7 because you've played for 4 hours and you get nothing. This was a bounty tournament, so every time you knock somebody out, you get $10. So unless you've knocked a lot of people out, chances are you wasted your time. So we got down to the final 7, and the table agreed that whoever gets knocked out on the bubble, everybody on the table will give them $10, and that they basically would break even for the tournament. It was an $80 buy-in. So we agreed to do that. I was starting to get pretty low. I was on fire for a while, and then I went card dead for about a half hour. And the blinds were really high, so things were going quick.
The blinds were just eating you?
The blinds would just eat you alive. So it was like 5,000 and 10,000 for the blind, and then there was an ante every time that you had to pay to make sure that eventually the game would end. So the hand gets dealt out. There's a guy to my left. I'm the big blind, so I'm the last one to act. There's a guy to my left. He goes all in. comes all the way back around to my right, who's the small blind. The guy calls, and I had a good hand, so I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to get out. Maybe the dude on my left will get knocked out, and I'll be now in the money. So I just let it go. He flipped, each of them flipping over. The guy on my left has got pocket 3s, and the guy on my right has got pocket 4s. So if the pocket 4s wins, which is a very high percentage, you know, the other guy's got a 2-outer.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless the board ran like, you know, a straight or something. So I was like, okay, you know, this is good. The flop comes up, rag, and then the turn comes some random card, and the guy to my left is getting ready to just walk away. He sits up, he's like, it was a good run, boys. And boom,
he didn't
the 3 hits right on the river.
Yeah.
So the guy on my left doubles up. The dude on my right, who was the chip leader, doubled him up. And now nobody's out, and we're still on the bubble. Next hand comes, the very next hand. I wake up with pocket 8s, and now I'm the small blind. So I already lost my big blind last hand. I'm on the small blind. I'm going to be going all in here. It's been a while since I had a hand. I had like 40,000 chips left. The blinds are 5,000, 10,000. I'm getting it in. This is the best time I'm getting it in. Comes all the way around. Everybody folds, comes back to the same dude. To the last guy, and he goes all in. I snap call. Snap. I have pocket 8s. He has pocket 9s. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Oh, no
A 2-outer, I'm dead. Flop comes, boom, I hit an 8. The guy goes, what the fuck? He gets up, smashes his chair back, and it just runs. I double up. I knock him out. I get the $10 bounty. I give him the $10 bounty because he was the bubble. Everyone gave him $10. And then after that, because that guy had a bad beat 2 hands in a row, it was horrible. Like, he was the chip leader, went from chip leader to nothing. Get out.
That's brutal.
It was awful. And then from there, we were down to the final 6. It was in the money. I think like the minimal was to win was like $175. First place was almost $1,000. So we played for a while, and we ended up getting down to the final 4. And I am second chip leader. The guy who originally went all in and doubled up, he's now the chip leader by a considerable margin. And there's one other guy that's got about half of my chips, and then there's a guy over on my right, a little bit further down on the table, that's like 2 blinds away from being out. The chip leader goes, hey guys, how would you like to just chop it 4 ways? So basically when they say chop it 4 ways, they take the prize pool from 4th to 1st, and they split it 4 ways. And I was like, okay, are you sure? Because you're the chip leader. Like, he could have said, all right, I'll get an extra $100. You guys chop the rest. Or the guy that has very little left, you know, he gets the least amount. He's like, no, it's all good. I got to go eat. The wife is bugging me. Let's just chop it 4 ways. So we ended up chopping it 4 ways. Second place was $560, and everybody ended up getting $560. So it was basically like everybody getting second place, and then whatever your bounties were at the end of that, you got extra.
4 can go for a while. Like the last, you know, once it starts getting
big time,
it can go. You can keep going for hours. People are just like, you know what, go.
I'm done. Yeah. So we may as well, like, even if you fought it for first place, you're only going to make an extra $400, right? So for the sake of an hour and a half and the risk of being put out, let's just all take 560. And it was the chip leaders suggestion. So we were like, sure, why not? So I won $560 the last day, which was nice because I was down $725 or $750 for the trip. And so I ended up only losing about $250 for the whole trip. So that was good.
Not bad.
And then Jared ended up going to an Avengers museum where they show off like a lot of props and things from the movie. So he did that. Nobody else was really interested in it. Went to a couple of buffets. Jared went to the Wicked Spoon buffet, which apparently is amazing. And we went to a sushi all-you-can-eat buffet. That was really good. And I think that's pretty much... Oh, we went to a pool party. That was good. I got like heat stroke, so I was sick for a night. Very salty. And then we went to a nightclub, and some other crazy shit happened that I won't say.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Jared went to see Celine without you.
Oh, he better not have. He better not have.
Yeah, he's sneaking off. Getting that solo Celine action all day.
So It was good,
I'm
man.
just impressed with the crew of guys that you took down there that nobody came back in a casket. To be completely honest with you, the guys that you listed off scared the shit out of me. I was like, somebody is dead.
Yeah, we came back.
Have you actually seen them, Adam?
I've seen them. Actually, we saw one of them on the way home.
That's true. One of them on the way home. We saw them on the highway because, you know, Halifax has 4 people in it, so it's kind of hard to miss people that you know.
I will say they all had a blast. They're all already planning the next trip. There's a lot of things that they couldn't get done because, you know, we're there for 5 days, but when you're in Vegas, for people that haven't been there before, it's one of those things that you want to have a vague idea in what you want to do, but you can't overplan Vegas, because next thing you know, you're gambling or you're at a pool or you're doing something, and 3 hours goes by and you're like, where the fuck did the time go? And it's so big and there's so much to do and you get distracted. So obviously there was a few things that they didn't get to do, but we got to do quite a bit. They all had a blast, man. They all spent pretty much all the money they brought. But man, they had a good time, and I was more excited for them because I like to see people experience Vegas for the first time. I like live vicariously through them, and then I just show them a good time. So it was fun, and of course, there's a lot of other things that happened that I won't say, but there was a lot of partying, and shit got crazy a couple of times, but a fun, good crazy. So it was a good time.
Well,
and then I came home and I got my car, so it's been good.
Mr. MaximusBlack.
Yeah.
Hit me up with the sound of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Wow.
That's an open-ended one. Woo! I'll let you tackle that the way you need to tackle it. That's my reaction.
That accompanied by a
in concert
burning
as well.
sensation.
Do you like would you like a rubber dog?
A rubber dog. Oh God, very honorable, if you know what I'm saying.
Very honorable.
Very honorable.
Shit.
Well, from Vegas to video games, we have. I guess you could. Here's the segue. We have a prediction. First of all, I'm going to update this topic text since I haven't done that yet. There we go. We've got some predictions being made by some financial advisors, I guess, is what you would call Mr. Michael Pachter at this point in his career.
He's an analyst. He's not really an advisor.
He's an analyst, but I know he manages some portfolios for a handful of people. Yep. Anyway, Michael Pachter's been around the block for a long time in the video game sector. In fact, he deals almost entirely as an analyst within the video game sector at Wedbush Morgan, to my understanding.
Wedbush Securities. Yeah, he's an asshole, but he generally knows what he's talking about. So
did I just mash up 2 different things saying Wedbush Morgan?
Yes, you did.
To pull that up?
Yeah, you did.
I might have gotten about 2.5 hours of sleep, so I apologize for just massacring.
So you're on my
totally
level.
Different. Yeah. 2 totally different company names there. But yes, Wedbush Securities. So he's been around. He actually had his own show on game trailers for years. Like, I don't know if they called it Pack Attack or what the fuck it was. Yeah, so they basically, it was him making all these, you know, he was analyzing and shit, and he was literally famous for never being right, like ever, like just worst analyst.
So he's like the Kramer guy. You know that Kramer guy in the financial sector who's got that show?
Yes.
He's not good at predicting, but he was good at, like, calling when certain things would happen.
Did he have a bunch of sound bites? Did he like put sound bites? He's like, bam, 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 bam.
No. He was this was like the most white person on the planet. They just stuck him in front of a camera, and he knew, like, he didn't really play all that many games, but he just made predictions. And like, it's funny because people were like, "Can I just have his job?" Because this dude's pulling down huge amounts of money, and he was just sitting there talking at his ass. For example, these PS5 predictions are some of the most hilarious fucking predictions I've read in a long time. Let me. I mean, you guys already probably have this article up in front of you as we speak, but Mr. Michael Pachter goes, all right, so here's the thing. Somebody came out a while ago, another analyst, his last name Tong, I think, said, yeah, we got a PS5 probably en route for the second half of 2018. Great. That's maybe a bit early. I think he might have been on some good shit. But then Michael Pachter was like, wait, hold my beer. I've been on the devil's lettuce for the last fucking 72 hours straight, and I might have done a bumper 3. I'm going to say it comes out in 2019, and on top of that, I'm going to say that it's a shot that it's going to aim for 240 frames a second.
I saw that number, and I was just like,
Okay.
I'm with you on the 2019, but what the fuck are you talking about on the other number? Like, what are you doing there?
Definitely sensible, but whatever he took that morning before he said, you know, maybe they shoot for 240 frames, must have been fantastic. Whatever the hell that was, because
you know what?
Holy shit!
You know what? I know what happened. I know what happened. All right. He looked at it. He's like 1080p, right?
Yeah.
You go to 4K, right? That's what, 4 times 1080p?
60
right?
times 4.
So if you go 60 times 4, it's got to be 4K, 240 FPS. This shit makes sense.
Call it in! Buy now. This is your time. Buy now. Sony stock. Let's go. I mean, okay, so
the sad part is people are going to buy
2019.
Sony stock because he said that.
That's the
Please
fucking
don't.
scary part. There
Please
are
don't.
people, old people that
You're
know
listening to this
nothing about
podcast, don't.
it. Do not do it. 2019 is a sensible year. I could agree with 2019 likely being the year we see the next PlayStation because of the Pro's release and the time it's going to take them to put this, you know, next console together and give people enough time so that they don't feel like Sony is just having a knee-jerk reaction to Microsoft's release of their console as well. But the rest of what he's talking about, I mean, he's talking about, I mean, okay, let me give him some shine here. From an analyst perspective, he was at least wise enough to equate the odds of this happening in 2019 by the amount of saturation in the US and European markets for 4K televisions. It is projected that by that year, 50% of households in America will have a 4K TV and 35% in Europe. So at that point, it would make sense to do it from that perspective. So I'll give him some props for at least
they
doing
just
that.
launched the Pro. Sony just launched the Pro. They're like, even though, yeah, Xbox might be better on the spec wise, the Pro is going to be perfectly serviceable for at least another 2 years. So Sony's not going to go and rush and market some other hardware. They're just going to sit on it for a bit.
I think they might, man. I think they might. It depends. They're going to have to try and steal some light from Xbox. I think Xbox is going to do really well, and
Sony's got the games.
And I shouldn't say it doesn't matter because it does matter, but I think that this is such a leap, and Xbox shit the bed so bad with the One that I feel like people are going to buy the Xbox with or without the games. I think people are going to, as long as they don't do anything catastrophic, they're going to do something. It's going to do well. I think Sony has to at the very least, announce their console, and give some kind of announcement on what it's going to entail, so that people feel as though, well, the Pro, exactly what you said, the Pro is fine and it's serviceable and there's a lot they can do with it they haven't done with it yet. As long as they're being told that something equivalent to the Xbox is coming out or better, they'll hold their money off and they'll wait because of the games. But if they don't come out with it.
How do you guys feel about a price cut on the Pro? Because I feel like that's something Sony might do in 2018 instead of necessarily announcing. Because Sony tends to not announce super early comparatively from what I've seen. They might do. I feel like they might do like a price cut on the Pro in 2018 and then just sit on it for a little bit.
They might.
What do you think on that one, Adam? You look like you're confused or concerned.
Well, I'm just concerned about Michael Pachter's mental health, to be completely honest with you.
Well, he's demonstrated his math skills, all right? So, we can give him credit for that.
He can do his basic multiplication tables. No, I shouldn't say that. Pachter's obviously held his job for a long time for a reason. But I think this is the bigger thing here. The bigger thing here is that we are possibly depending on the release of whenever the PS5 shows up, we're entering a time for the first time where the two biggest players in this section of the console, Nintendo doesn't exist. We don't have to talk about Nintendo because Nintendo doesn't go head to head with these two. It's PC, PS4,
They're not playing towards
Xbox, and Nintendo is overdoing their own thing. So we're entering an era for the first time where it's quite possible that we are on totally different cadences between the two companies, and we won't be seeing these consoles release maybe even within a year window of each other. So we're going to have this weird period where for maybe a year and a half to 2 years, maybe even a shade longer. But Dreamcast was a weird bastard child thing. Yeah. But where Xbox releases the Scorpio, and the Scorpio is demonstrably better than the PS4 Pro in just about every conceivable way. But it's also a half to 3/4 step basically of the Xbox One, where they still have to honor the people that have bought Xbox Ones, because it hasn't been that long since the Xbox One was released. Same happened with PS4, PS4 Pro. So these consoles, the PS5, whatever you want to call it, the Xbox One X, are really still not full, new cycles. They're like half cycles, because if you think about it,
we went from
think about PS3 to PS4. That was a double the old school cycle. Remember back when we were growing up, every 4 years, like clockwork, there were new consoles coming out. Then we hit the financial crisis shit where everybody in America decided to buy a mansion, and then the rest of the world got fucked. And
shouldn't
then
laugh,
y'all did it too, man. Y'all did it too.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is that us Canadians up here just kept drinking maple syrup, and we were perfectly fucking fine. It was all fucking dandy up here with our 3 banks instead of 3,000. But so what happened was then we got a double cycle. The PS3 to PS4 was like an 7-8 year period, and now we're getting into the era where it's
before you jump into
they're like
that,
every 2.5 years they're coming out with this half-step thing. But to finalize my thought, the entire point of this was we're going to get to a weird spot where Xbox has the most powerful, then the PlayStation has the most powerful, and it's back and forth. Instead of them both releasing at the same time and being like, "Oh, my dick's bigger than yours. I hit her cervix. You didn't." And then that's basically the show. It's no longer a marketing thing back and forth. It's going to be, no, ours is literally 1,000 times better than yours, and then 2 years later, get fucked, here we are at the party. So that's what I'm interested in more than anything else.
Well, the reasoning behind the original one, the reasoning behind Microsoft and Sony doing that whole 8-year cycle was they were getting sick of developing hardware over and over again, and then having to beat the crap out of each other. And then somewhere in the middle, they both just hopped on AMD's dick. Because let's be real here, AMD's the one with a big dick here, for consoles.
Well, for now, yes, for sure, especially
for
in the
now,
console
but
market.
for the next console, yeah, and even with all the other stuff, AMD's doing pretty well in the console space. So now it's the same tech for both of them, and I think they both kind of realized that, and they ended up just like Microsoft and Sony just end up in this game of one-upsmanship. And that's what they're doing. I still
honestly
think they're going to end up in 2 to 4 years.
I just think it's the times have changed. I just think this is the
progressive
way of the world. Get shit out as fast as possible. I mean, I'm the type of guy that'll buy a new iPhone every 2 years, and I will buy it out. I mean, if people want to spend $1,000 every year on a phone, and they do it every year, there's millions of people that do it.
Who is not going to spend $500 on a console?
Who gives a shit about spending $500 on a console? I think this is just the way the world is working now. It's an instant gratification. It's a who's got the better shit all the time.
And with both of them not going towards this proprietary stuff like cell processors and random architectures, they're both on a standardized architecture that makes it super easy for developers to make the games. They're just going to keep incrementally updating the hardware. They can keep getting money from the hardware sales and the markup without actually having to do a ridiculous amount of work. Throw in more memory, throw in a faster processor, maybe do a little bit of quirky.
Yep.
Good to go.
Wow. Interesting. Well, we'll have to see where that where that goes.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely like if rumor. I mean it's not. They're not even rumors. They're predictions.
No, it's just speculation.
Right? It's speculation. The earliest we'd hear about this would be next E3, earliest. Yep. And I don't even think it'll be that. It'll probably be some obscure place where Sony's like, hey, like GDC or some shit. Like, yeah, we've got hardware, and then that's all they're gonna say. But yeah, we'll wait and see what comes out of that. I think honestly, for me though, the fact that they're even still making consoles beyond this generation, where I remember 5 years ago, people were like, "This is the last generation before we go entirely into the cloud." Well, surprise, motherfucker, we're still here, and we're probably still going to be here for a good long time yet. So, it is good for, to see that, because really, I just like still buying shit like that. I don't want to stream my games from the fucking cloud, because it looks like ass.
You don't want to rely on your internet connection for that garbage.
Yeah, we're a good 50 years away from North America being wired with fiber and getting like $5 an hour. Unless, of course, again, thanks to America, they fucked that whole friggin' shit through the roof again with their old government not being
Make
able
your
to keep
own
their dick
network
in the cookie jar. Holy shit. That's unbelievable. But I have to not talk. I'm actually surprised we're not talking about that today. The fact that for the fourth time in 5 years, America's government is trying to single-handedly fuck over.
I feel like we
internet.
didn't want the podcast to go there.
Probably
I feel like
a good
that.
idea.
I saw that topic and I was like, let's not put that on the list.
Oh, I get right.
This will turn into Adam bashing America. Something like
it's like my pastime.
Speaking of topics, I feel like we should hit the third topic before we hit the second one, because we kind of already touched on it. And we can just do a quick run on the third topic.
Yep.
Sweet.
That was my plan. So just to wrap up that hardware segment, we finally got prices for AMD's Threadripper. That finally happened. And we got SKUs. We got to see how many models were going to exist and the prices. And lo and behold, I should go to Vegas because I fucking smashed this shit out of the park and guessed everything. Good job, Adam. High five.
Now, if only you could monetize those skills in some usable fashion.
I know. If there was only a way in which I could sit around and speculate on hardware for a living. No, it looks good. Oh, and we also talked about Ryzen 3, but nobody gives a fuck about Ryzen 3. I think it's useless.
No one cares about Ryzen 3.
No, nobody gives a fuck. So basically, the biggest part of this story is that the highest end Threadripper is 16 cores, 32 threads, which is absolutely monstrous. And
pound for pound, it's on par with Intel, or more than that.
At the price point, it goes head to head with the what is it? The 7. What's the naming convention for Intel shit right now?
7950X or some ridiculous. I don't even know the numbers.
I don't even know anymore. Intel's gotten weird with it. But they just released theirs not long ago, and it's 10 cores, 20 threads for $1,000. Ryzen comes out and says, "Suck on these nuts." 32 threads for $1,000. Drop the mic and walk away.
The reason why the Threadripper stuff is more interesting than the Intel stuff is they demoed the performance compared to the equal Intel part, and now for streamers, content producers, workstation people, it's finally gotten to the point where you can do dual PC or whatever stuff on a single computer. There's a ridiculous amount it's a ridiculous amount of processing power. Any dual PC streaming setup right now could run on a single Threadripper.
And not just
and it would run it well and have headroom.
Yeah, we're not talking a little bitch stream. We're not talking oh, I'm going to play Overwatch and stream at 720p 60. We're talking you're doing 1080p 60 with the most absurd amount of encoding power. Throw 24 threads at it and still have 8 threads left over for your operating system
to run
and video
Overwatch
games.
on like everything. I was looking at the numbers, and the motherboards are. You can probably put the machine together for about $2,000 with the motherboard and that, and it would run pretty well. So I feel like AMD is in for an interesting next year or two, because Intel completely got caught with their pants down, and people have not been responding well to Intel's pricing.
I mean, let me just bring this back down a little bit more and put this and maybe ignore the fact, other than the fact that it costs way less than Intel and does just as fine a job, and in some cases better. We're going to ignore all of that. Here's the thing that Intel gets wrecked on. If somebody like Jeff, who knows a little bit about computers, he's not a guy that's like, he's not necessarily the dude that goes to Best Buy and buys a fucking PC off the shelf. He knows more than that. He knows enough that he, at the very least, he could go and, if he needed to, put together a list of computer parts that would go together like Lego and work at the end of the day. Jeff represents a really massive market of people right now, because it's becoming more and more common for people to build their own PCs and less common for them to buy these pre-made ones. Intel's current offerings in this prosumer end, even for the people that would be buying those who are generally more knowledgeable, it is the single biggest clusterfuck I have ever seen in my entire life for what what performance and what features the motherboards will actually provide you based on the CPU that you plug into it. It is absolutely fucking atrocious. You either get some of the performance or some of the features, not all the features. On this one, you might get A and B, but on this one, you get C, but you don't get B and A. But if you plug this one in and you have this other, if you plug this key in, all of a sudden you get RAID, like it's back in fucking 2001 or some shit. Like, let me put it this way. I consider myself a relatively competent PC builder. I can make shit work pretty well. I'm not like some sort of savant. I'm not fucking Linus Tech Tips or some shit. I don't want to go anywhere near Intel's current fucking offering, because I'm pretty sure I'd fuck it up. Like, it's a complete
Well, that's one of the
mess.
other problems with it. It's about bandwidth on the board. Intel actually is running low, and even the current AMD stuff is low. So like, if you start plugging in capture cards, webcams, USB card, any of that stuff, you start running low on the amount of lanes you have. Intel, I think, caps out at 44. Threadripper's coming in with 64. So you can literally have everything in one computer, and it would all run, and it would all get full bandwidth, and it would be like ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be honest. I like all this talk. It's great, but at the end of the day, I am that guy that'll go and just buy a computer, and I'll make it work for what I need. All these numbers and all these extra threads and all this other shit, it's all overkill. All of it. Every single bit of it. It's all overkill. You go ahead and you buy yourself a high-end, a mid to high-end CPU from Intel. Go ahead and buy yourself a 1080 Ti if you really want to get crazy. You go and buy yourself a couple sticks of RAM. Get yourself Windows anything but 10. And you put yourself a little 1 terabyte fucking SSD in there, and you're off to the races. You can stream.
But you're not.
But you are. But you are.
Not.
I have one.
The
I'm
exact
literally
scenario, you're using one pre-built by a company.
Yes. And you also have built me 3 computers over the years that have all basically been verbatim what I just said.
Yeah, but this is the difference. What you're describing right now this is exactly what I'm talking about. So if you went and did that right now, I'm guaranteeing you, in like 4 months' time, when you're into it and you're starting to plug shit into your computer and run all your stuff off of it, and all of a sudden shit doesn't quite work right, it's because you bought just a mid-range Intel and you just fucking slap it into that motherboard, you fucking grab your 1080 by the fucking balls and you put it on there and you dangle an LED light off of it, and then you know what happens? You don't have enough fucking lanes. You don't have enough. You don't have or you have like your SATA port plugged in the wrong one, because with this chip on that board, these SATA ports don't do the fucking right things, and you're fucking. You need a fucking like Encyclopedia Britannica to be able to put together the knowledge to put together a mid-range Intel build with this new line that's out. So what you just said is exactly the fucking problem with Intel's current offering. Above the fact that it costs hundreds of dollars more for the exact same performance as AMD, beyond the fact that you have more cores, all these fancy numbers that apparently don't matter until you're actually using the computer and shit just doesn't work, is the fact that you can't do that. You have to just read 50 times more shit to make it work. However, the nice thing is, for AMD on top of that, was it Alienware that locked them in? Who was it that locked AMD in with their new shit for all of their pre-builts? Somebody did that with AMD stuff.
I think it might have been Alienware. I haven't read about that one yet.
Even Alienware, who has been riding Intel's bird for the last however many years, has now hopped on the AMD train. So yeah, that's the scariest part about Intel's current offering. Next year will be different because they won't be just whatever this is. It'll be their next.
I'm just happy there's competition back.
I'm just so happy that Intel actually has to use more than 3 fucking cells of their brain now to release things, and maybe consider taking the cost dial and just bringing it back just a bit, just a little bit, because the fact that you can put a 10 core versus a 16 core at the same speeds, basically, slightly faster speeds, but the real world performance is for all intents and purposes identical, and one costs exactly the same as the other. That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. So I'm all thumbs up. But we won't talk any longer about that because Jeff's going to fall asleep here momentarily. Yep. Let's talk about esports. Is esports okay? We're gonna get you back on esports.
Hey, no, I was fine. I just said my 2-piece and you shot it down like it meant nothing. So I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you, Linus Tech, tip your way through this, and I'll just nod my head and be like, okay, sure.
It was just that was the exact point about Intel's current problem that they have. But Overwatch League, that's the thing that is now.
You
back
actually hear the
in
announcement?
news.
It's a pretty big deal.
What, for the Overwatch League? I'll let you take this because you probably followed this way closer than I did. So you go right ahead.
Yeah, so literally about 2 or 3 days before this announcement came out, everyone was literally screaming that Overwatch is dead. It's dead on arrival. And then this announcement comes along and everyone's like, long live Overwatch. Overwatch is amazing. This is going to be awesome. I don't know. I'm mainly asking if Jeff heard about it because he was traveling and all this other stuff. He's had a pretty busy week. So pretty much what happened was Blizzard came out and said, we are going to list the 7 owners and the 7 franchises that are going to launch the initial league. Pretty much the city-based franchises, which is new for esports. They have not had city-based franchises ever in an esport. So this is going to be the first one. And I believe the cities offhand are Boston, which is going to be New England, New York, Los Angeles,
Surprise.
Miami, San Francisco, and then they went foreign with Shanghai and Seoul. Now, you might think, okay, whatever, but then they started listing off the owners of these franchises. They have Robert Kraft owns New England Patriots. Jeff Wilpon owns the Mets. Then they've got the guy who currently owns the Immortals. I think it's Noah Winston or something. Then it's Misfits Gaming runs Miami. They're a pretty big, popular esports franchise. Andy Miller, he runs Energy Sports right now, and they're doing pretty well out in San Francisco. And then they've got 2 companies out in the East. NetEase is a huge provider in Shanghai, China, servicing. And then Kevin Chu, who runs Kabam, which is a huge thing outside in Korea in the whole esports scene. So those are the first 7 franchises, and apparently everyone's like going nuts that they were able to source. These are big names, and these are like major cities that have bought in on the whole franchise system. And that's the starting point. They said they're already looking into onboarding a couple other cities, but they're going to wait until the next year or 2 to get those going. I was surprised. So that includes they include details on like the whole revenue sharing. Pretty much each team gets they own their rights and revenues for their area up to a certain threshold, and then after that it goes into a shared pool which everyone splits evenly. So they're going pretty deep in how they're going to run the franchise. So I'm curious, when they're actually going to start running the events. They haven't quite said when that's all starting up, but they say coming soon.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, it's I think it's I don't think this is any different than I think a lot of people imagined what this would turn out to be, given what they had talked about before. I think this is the right way to do it. If you're going to go big, then it is basically they're modeling themselves after current franchise sports.
Sure.
So
they've instantly brought in like basic fan base because like I think I was seeing the running jokes out there. It's like the guy from Philly. He's like, you know what? I already know for a fact the Boston team friggin' sucks. But you know what? I don't have a Philly team yet, so I guess I'm gonna have to root for the New York team because Boston really sucks. And they've instantly built that like story that kind of esports has been missing, where you already have those regional.
Well, that's what they think
coming in.
That's their hope. That's what they think. I think that's not going to be the case at all. I think
you don't think so?
I think they're trying to model something that it just doesn't work in the space. Having these big names. I mean, of course you're going to have big names there. It's a $20 million buy-in minimum. That's the rumor. I mean, who else are you going to put up there? There's not many other names out there that are going to have $20 million to go and throw at this league that is just a concept. I mean, this money to the $20 million to these people is just like opportunity. That's it. Just some angel investor that is like, you know what? Here's $20 million. Some young cat got into a room and explained to them how this is going to turn, $1 billion for them over the next 20 years. And they're saying, you know what? Fuck it. It's $20 million. Let's just go for it. I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's great that these big names are getting behind this. But at the end of the day, they still have to run a league. It still has to be coherent. It still has to work. The games still have to be good. Blizzard still has to step up and do their part. There's a lot of variables there. I'm happy though that we've got a start. They've got some money. That's great. It sucks that it's for Overwatch because I don't really care about Overwatch all that much. But it's good for esports.
I can agree with that
so
part.
I can't complain all that much. I would have been more excited if this was something for Dota or League of Legends or Rocket League or something like that where it's a game that just interests me more, and I think that there's more promise to it. Even Counter-Strike, although it already has a massive league, and that's great, but to have names like this and have a big potential storyline and state wars and, whatever, sure, it's cool, but it's just the first piece to a huge pile that kind of all has to work, or it's just going to be a lot of wasted money.
I'm hoping the structure works because they've put a lot of detail into, especially for the investors, kind of explaining to them how they can get their money back over time. Like, just from the basic stuff that they've publicized, it talks about like licensing and merchandising, all those rights, what rights the franchises can sell in their local region. So they get all this stuff, and they're like trying to get, because that's a lot of the stuff that the investors care about, and that's the problem esports has had. Everyone's been kind of just like been doing it in some random. I don't even want to call it semi-professional because it doesn't even border on that for a lot of the games.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate that Blizzard kind of took a step back and said, we kind of suck at this. Let's take a new tact at it. They got some new people.
They're going the League of Legends route. They're going league route. They're trying to legitimize this and make this a sport. And in a way, they are legitimizing this even more so than League of Legends is, because League of Legends just kind of runs the whole show. Blizzard is giving a little bit more freedom here. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. League of Legends has the number. They have the infrastructure. It works. It's exciting to watch. I've heard so many people say that watching Overwatch professionally is not that great. And I also feel like
to watch.
there's a bunch. Okay, so for example, League of Legends, they dominate the MOBA scene. They just dominate it. Counter-Strike dominates the FPS scene. Overwatch is like this in the middle MOBA brawler type thing, or what, I don't know what they call this hybrid. I actually feel like Overwatch is such a mediocre game that Overwatch kind of needs to watch themselves, because all I think it's going to take is the right Overwatch clone to come out and fuck Overwatch. It don't matter how good of a MOBA comes out. League of Legends, Dota, they're going to have their fan base. It's diehard. They're locked in. The games are great. The tournaments are great. I feel like if just one game, this is that one genre right now that's still up for grabs. Sure, Overwatch owns it, and they're doing great. And they own it because they threw money at it like a motherfucker. They just throwing this, just shoving it down your throat. I couldn't go to an event without seeing Overwatch stickers on a Lamborghini with 3 hot chicks dressed up as cosplay telling you to come in and take a picture. I mean, it is everywhere. I was in New York. They had the shit plastered all over the place, almost as much as that WildStar game that came out that failed horribly. So, Overwatch bought their way in. The thing is, money will only take you so far. And I feel as though, and I might be the only one, and you guys can, tell me how you feel. But I feel like Overwatch is one bad game or one good game that comes out of left field that copies the formula Overwatch has. That's just a better fucking game, and they need to watch themselves. So I think it's a huge risk what they're doing, but I think it's a risk that is necessary. I like the fact that they're doing it, because if they wait too long, then maybe Overwatch never really picks up. Sure, there's 30 million people playing it, but the amount of people that are playing the game to how many were watching it, I mean, it's not even. It blows your mind that it isn't bigger than what it is.
I agree with you there. Like, Overwatch is a game. I love the game. I love playing it. I've tried watching it. It physically hurts me.
Yeah.
I feel like if Blizzard's throwing a lot of money at it. I feel like they need to keep plowing forward with whatever they're doing here. I like everything I heard about the announcement, but they need to, development-wise, take a step back from like releasing new content, and they need to be like, all right, we definitely need better tools to make it easier to watch. We need ways to make it so that it's easier to follow for the viewers, because it's chaos when you watch those tournaments.
Yeah.
Everything's running around. Like, they need to actually like sit down and be like, how do we make this game consumable for someone? Like, if you look at Dota, they like for the Vive, they have this client that you can literally go. It's like puts you into a room. You have a giant, like, full-on, like, floor-to-ceiling version of the game going on in front of you, and then you can literally look at all the individual heroes on each team, and you can see statuses of them, and you can like click around and you can like interact with it that way. They came up and they looked at different ways you can do it. So it's a cool way to interact. The Dota client gives you tons of ways to like interact, figure out how to watch the game, and you can watch the games kind of on your terms. With Overwatch, the spectator tools are trash right now. The overlays in game that you have to be all done kind of outside of the game and kind of synced up. It's all messy, so they need to make it easier to produce, and they need to make it easier to actually put on a production that doesn't suck, where you have to have like 7 observers watching what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's what they need to focus on at this point.
We'll see. They've got a shot. I mean, I believe, but I don't know. What do you think, Adam?
I want Blizzard to succeed.
Yeah, I mean that's all fine and good. I mean, I like the structure, because I think the structure is what needs to happen to make esports work in North America. I will ignore other places in the world. I think in North America, this is the structure that needs to happen for anything to work, because this is what will get people to buy in to esports, as large companies and investors, do here. I think that it gives the best chance at turning revenue over versus other traditional models, because it provides a place like stadium play and everything where you're selling tickets and you're selling merchandise and you're treating it like another sport. That kind of revenue is going to outpace sponsorship and just game sale all day, every day, so long as you have the fans behind it. I think I don't want to discount Overwatch for its 30 million players, but just because you have 30 million players does not mean that you immediately have a viable esport that should be the first one tackling the job of transitioning from the traditional methods of producing esports into this long-term model of esports, because the game hasn't really been out that fucking long. And it shows from an esports perspective, like you guys were saying, in that it is incredibly either boring to watch or difficult to watch, and it might be that one influences the other in terms of why. So you get a very difficult game to watch that ends up being boring because half the time, it's not that you wouldn't be able to understand, it's a freaking shooter. People get shot, they die. People have shields, they block bullets. This is not really particularly complex shit.
It's
but
just chaos to watch.
It's not rocket cars.
Yeah.
And somebody might say, well, hold on now. League of Legends is complete fucking chaos when a team fight happens, and they're not wrong. It is absolute chaos. The difference being is that as a MOBA, it has the distinct advantage of the game playing and viewing from the exact same angle. You're getting the isometric top-down view.
Yep.
And so from that blown-out view, while it might be chaotic, you have a damn slight better chance of understanding or picking out things that are happening than if you are down on first-person view, or even in a first-person game sitting up on a building camera somewhere. It doesn't give you the right distance to be able to really see things. And then for a first-person shooter to zoom all the way out, it's hard to see when somebody does something really fucking cool. So there's a lot of extra shit that you have to be able to do in production for Overwatch to make it consumable and also just fun.
Yep.
Well, and I don't mean, and so consumable doesn't always mean fun. It also just means possible to watch some shit and understand what's going on. So I agree. I think the biggest hurdle they have is to actually make this a consumable, fun thing to watch. And I think the other problem that they have, before I hand it off to you, Panic, I think the other problem that they have is that ultimately, Overwatch is an incredibly unbalanced game. It's probably more unbalanced than any other game in the competitive scene that I have ever personally played at a AAA level. Obviously, I've played other competitive games that are like lower tier that are just broken as shit. But from a high standpoint of like a Blizzard AAA release played by 30 million
it's inherently
people,
unbalanced.
It is unbelievably unbalanced, and not in the fun way unbalanced where it rotates, enough to, where people can go, okay, it's whatever, this week this thing's broken, next week the next thing's broke, whatever. It's just like annoyingly unbalanced, and so it turns a lot of people off because of it. Somebody actually released a statement, or it was somebody broke that news, I think it was GameSpot or somebody else, that said that Overwatch holds the title now for best, they framed it this way, best post-game release support, in that they patched the game more than anyone else actively since its release. That tells you two things. One, yes, I'm going to applaud Blizzard for continuing to patch this game and attempt to, make it whatever, as best it possibly can be. But two, boy, does that ever tell you that the game is fucking broken. So from a balance point of view. So they do have a lot of things to juggle. They have a lot of things to figure out. And I think, unfortunately, they may have put the cart in front of the horse on this one. The horse isn't really ready to push the cart yet, but we're going to fucking put it out there anyway. And then we're just going to hope that, the horse gets itself going on its own, because right now it's not there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things they're doing also, and I think from the esports perspective, which is going to be nice, is MOBAs especially. The games are long, and they structure it so that you have to have these really huge, like day-long or multi-day tournaments that go for like 2 or 3 days, and then you've got nothing for like a couple of weeks until you have like another, qualifier or whatever. What they're doing with the Overwatch stuff, and I wish they would do this in more games, is they're trying to go with smaller matches, and effectively they're doing like the home away system with like in regular sports where it'll be only 2 teams, they'll travel, they'll do game, and then they'll move on. So they're doing the first season in LA in an esports venue, but one of the agreements when the team signed on was they have to build a local venue that can handle, and they can do that with, they can do it studio style, but preferably they would do it where spectators can come and watch the games, but they'd also be able to host the other team and like do like a full production from there. And then eventually, get it so that you have a full schedule of home and away games. So like basketball, hockey, whatever, you have a schedule of games. You can kind of follow along a team through the season, to make it a little bit more interesting, which I feel like is nice because that makes it a whole lot easier to consume as an esport and like as like a cohesive experience over the course of some time, as opposed to like, you have a major, then you wait a while, then you have, whatever qualifiers. That's the part I'm excited about. I want that part of it to work.
You want sports.
I want to be able to see.
You want sports.
Yeah, I want sports with games,
and everybody wants it. But the problem is I don't know if that's going to work for esports. I mean, we don't know.
I don't necessarily want to see it on TV, but I want to see it on like Twitch or something.
Yeah,
like I don't necessarily want to go on the TV watch it, but I'd like to see more regular, not necessarily huge day-long productions, but 2-3 hours on like a Wednesday night.
I know what you're saying, and then they also can run into the problem where it's just too much, and kind of like what LCS does is where they're giving you so much content that you just don't care anymore. It's all the same. The mystique of those major events are no longer special. It's the same fucking 7 teams playing each other. The 2 foreign teams are going to be the ones stomping everybody's face in. And it's just like, after a while, it just becomes monotonous, and it's the same old, same old, same. So having those big events is special. And then also on those downtimes, usually esports lovers follow other esports. So when you're not watching Overwatch, you're watching League, or you're playing League, or you're watching StarCraft, or you're watching whatever. So, you could say the same argument for sports. I mean, I know people that are diehard basketball, hockey, football fans, everything. And then I also have friends that are just straight up hockey. They will not watch any other sport. Straight up baseball. I'm a UFC guy. I just watch MMA. So it really just depends. And we'll see if the infrastructure can work. I'm not sure if you're going to see it just on Twitch. I think if they're going to go this route, they're going to want to go the television. They're going to go the whole way. And I bet you a lot of these big guns here, maybe not some of the esport guys, but the ones that are owning basketball teams and all these huge investors, they're going to envision sports. They don't know esports. So they're going to psychologically be ready and be expecting sports, but in esports, because it's what they know. So if they don't get these sort of things, are they going to be okay with just having things on the internet where people are just kind of tuning in? I think they're going to push for this whole television thing, the whole studio thing. I can see, I mean, in a perfect world, we'd love to have 7 different places. The teams are on a bus traveling across America. The big Korean team is on a jet. And it's so awesome, and they've got fans wearing their shit all over the city, and they're bumping heads with the cities beside them, and you got one side cheering for this and another side cheering for that, and it's just all the passion. But we're nerds. Just put it on the internet and let me watch a stream. Let me watch Player Battleground Unknown on another fucking monitor, and let me have a FAP session on the side, and let me mute the advertisements. That's the reality of it.
ESL actually announced their PUBG franchise. They're starting it up.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go. You'll get to get that FAP session.
It's starting.
Well, it is what it is.
So just to cap this, because we've kind of touched on it in bits and pieces in our 3 little spiels on this whole thing, is obviously I think anyway that we all agree that eventually, for North America at the very least, esports has to go this route to become viable financially for investors to really want to take it to the next level. So with that being said, and I think we all also agree that Overwatch may not have been the right one to take that first step. Which game that currently exists do you guys think would have been the right move for this first step?
League or Dota. At this point, League is they've been downtrending on their numbers. Dota was literally in the middle of doing like a massive restructuring, and they changed their structure to something completely different. I don't necessarily agree with what they're doing on their structure, and I feel like this kind of structure would have worked better for Dota, but
I think Dota is too niche. I think Dota is too underground. You know, Dota is like you know, Kendrick Lamar before he was famous. You know, it's the real hip hop heads out there.
Kendrick Lamar eventually became famous.
Exactly, or Chance the Rapper, or you know, somebody underground. Maybe Kendrick Lamar wasn't the best thing. You know, Chance the Rapper, or somebody, you know, Logic, somebody that is underground, that is well respected, and that are known by the real hip hop heads, or in this case, the real esports heads or the real MOBA heads, knowing the history of Dota, what the real true MOBA is. And I feel as though it's not as commercially, it's not as dumbed down, it's not as digestible, it's not as commercial, it doesn't have the backing like League of Legends does. And you can make those arguments that, yeah, of course, I think Dota fans are more hardcore than League fans. But the thing is League is just on that next level. League is already ready for the transition. They have it. That's the show. I mean, if it wasn't for Riot just wants to run the whole train. Riot wants to be the ones that are going to take this game, and they have, and just blow it up. They've done it, but they want to be fully in control of everything and everything. And I
Riot
feel as though
FIFA, pretty much.
It's an ego thing, man. I think Riot just has a massive ego. They know they're the big shit. I think there's somebody up top that's just calling all the shots, and they're not allowing any risk. They're not taking any risk with, you know, taking their business and handing it over to another franchise or opening up a big partnership. They don't want to do it. At least that's kind of what I'm seeing. I think League of Legends would succeed. They're already selling out stadiums literally in minutes. They've got the infrastructure for it. They just need to sit down in a room with these uber rich people and say, let's make some teams and let's make a league and let's put it out there. Everybody has the money to do it there. I think Blizzard is taking a risk, but they're also stepping up to the plate, and either they're going to strike out or they're going to hit a home run. And I think it's worth the risk, because I think Overwatch at this point is very successful, but it's not what they envisioned. I think they envisioned it to be bigger than what it is right now in terms of esport. It's just not catching on the way they want it to. And you know, when a game comes out,
done much with it as like an esport. They have a couple of things here and there, but they've like been focusing on these league things and like building it out before they launch it. So I feel like they're kind of just like they're doing the burnout at the starting line right now.
Yeah. I definitely feel like League is the one that is ready to jump tomorrow and make it work. And I think just in sheer number and just brand, it would work. And it would take a couple of years to work out kinks, but I think it would be successful. I think Overwatch just takes a risk, and they have a potential for it to not be successful at all. And these rich motherfuckers have a chance to lose 20 million plus. You know, big deal. You know, to them. What it is. What
about you, Panic?
I still like, I understand, like my whole argument about League was always, it's the basketball of esports. It's a game that's easy to follow. The map is very standardized. The mechanics of it was geared for, it was very meticulously designed that way so that it is easy to follow as a MOBA, but you still get the complexity. Dota's got a lot more going on. You have denies, you have like a lot of intricate pathing on the map that not everyone knows. League is top lane, bot lane, mid lane, and you know, you'll have jungle and you have your roles. Dota can get a little bit more fuzzy in what's going on. And I think Riot kind of knew that, and it changes the dynamic of the game. Like the casters don't have to explain as much in League. They can kind of do it like in an initial thing, but then they can go into the gameplay and they can do the color commentary, stuff to excite people. Dota, you have to explain a lot all the time because there's always little like quirks and stuff that happen, and a lot of people aren't interested in that. That being said, I still say Dota would have been more in a position to kind of do this. Kind of for a different reason.
They don't put any money up, man. They don't put any money up.
But that's the thing. they have the international. That's where the money goes. But League is kind of already entrenched in their mindset of how to do things. The viewer base is kind of entrenched in what they're kind of going for with LCS, and League has made changes. But like you said yourself, they're kind of resistant and they're kind of have it on lockdown. Valve has been, experimenting a bit, and the fact is they don't have that much to lose. Trying the new format.
Valve ain't making any risks. Valve ain't investing any money. Valve is going to do what Valve does. And the thing is with Dota, they have something special going for them. They're that underground special talent. And I tell you right now, all them Dota fanboys, if it went full commercial, they'd have a fucking uproar. It'd be so huge, it would be ridiculous. The League of Legends guys, the 14-year-olds out there playing League of Legends, they're just going to go on TV and watch their shit, cheer for their favorite TSM player, and that'll be the show. Dota, it would be like the apocalypse if you went full blown commercial. That they would, because the majority of the Dota community are elitist, older, jaded motherfuckers. They just are. That's just the way it is, man. You can't. I just don't see it working at all for Dota. I think Dota works because it's not what League is. And that's why it does so well. It's just not what League is. You go this commercial route, you're becoming League, and then you may have a problem.
So we're on opposite sides of this battlefield, Jeff.
I think so.
Opposite
I think so.
Oh,
but interesting.
Sorry, Panic, but League of Legends is the easiest possible choice for this. It's not even close. Like Dota.
Life's not always easy, Adam. Life's not always easy.
Oh, I know, but here's the thing. In order for this whole situation, I mean, if you look at at Overwatch, for the reasons why this might not work, it has 30 million people playing it, yes, but the viewer numbers are not there, and it's not watchable, and it's kind of boring.
Those 30 million people aren't necessarily going to go to watch it.
No, exactly. The amount of people that you need to be able to prop up a move from current, what you'll call, let's call it traditional esports platform to traditional sports platform, is just flat out not there. If they pull it off, I'll eat my words. I hope they fucking make it happen, but I don't see it happening personally. The thing about Dota, like Jeff said, is that's very, very, very true. Valve personally doesn't fucking care. Valve is as hands off with literally everything they can make happen. Just we have it, here it is, we'll do some kind of we'll handle the money, we'll put the money back out over here, and la-di-da, you're done. Everybody else fend for themselves. And on top of that, but the more important thing is, Jeff is right, is that Dota is like the esport that's me personified, just the old jaded fuck, where you don't want anything to change, you hate commercialization, you just want it to be you and the Dota fans, and everyone else can go away, and nobody cares if you, like, it's just, that's what it is. Now, again, before we get a whole bunch of, like, salty Dota viewers in here right now, whether that's, YouTube or whatever, that's not to say that every person that watches Dota is like that, but the general community, that is, if you asked anyone, they would characterize it almost exactly like that, and it's because it's true. If you moved that and did what we're talking about, I think it falls apart. And on top of that, I just don't think that the product that is Dota 2, both the game itself, despite it being similar to League of Legends, and the current way in which they broadcast it and package it, I don't think it works nearly as well as League of Legends. League of Legends is the over-the-top, everyone get in here on this shit, here's a couple of noisemakers and a fucking TSM hat, get into that arena, and whenever you see somebody die, do this and clap the fucking noisemakers together, and then everybody's like, yeah, let's fucking go! And then, of course, also, again, it skews younger, and that's the easier thing to get them set up on. When they're younger and they're into it and they're in that mode, you just send them into a team and they're like, yeah, well, let's fucking get behind this kind of shit. The way they produce it. Have you seen how League of Legends in Korea, for example, produces stuff for tournaments. That shit is fire. It looks awkward as hell because everybody is a bunch of like 40-pound Asians, but they somehow make a bunch of 40-pound Asians look like gods in these fucking like pre-tournament videos, and they outdo everyone production-wise. Just smash it into the park.
It's not even close.
And it looks like it's produced for TV. It doesn't look like I'm about to go to twitch.tv and consume a few, hours of esports content. It looks like I'm about to watch fucking Mayweather and McGregor go at this shit because they put about as much production on top of it as they do. So it's already there. The fan base is obviously huge, and it's incredibly diehard, but it's already commercialized. League is like the sellout of the Century game, and they just don't fucking care. The biggest problem, obviously, you have to talk about this in a hypothetical, because Riot wants to run everything, like Jeff said. They want to have, their hands on the controls. They don't really want to bring other people in. They want to play Puppet Master, and they want to make sure that everything goes their way or the highway.
Understandably.
Understandable. Yeah. I mean, they're kind of assholes, and they don't pay anybody appropriately.
Kind of seeing how esports was before Riot did their thing, it kind of completely understandable why Riot did what they did.
It's kind of like the UFC before they got bought out. They pay their fighters shitty. They're kind of dicks. They favor certain things. They do some shady shit behind the scene, but they're great business people in every sense of the word. But at the end of the day, until somebody takes over or there's a change of power, they're going to just be stuck in their ways. And you know what? Being stuck in that way, it's not that bad. They're doing great. They may have little waves and they may go down a little bit, but even a dip for League it's so nothing.
It's nothing.
It's whatever, dude.
It's a blip on the radar. I mean, are they untouchable? No. But is what people are talking about right now? Oh, League isn't pulling down 130,000 people every minute of every single day anymore. And you're like, well,
they're literally at 120,000 people right now.
There you go.
And the next highest game is PlayerUnknown Battleground at 72,000. Of
course. Hey, Night Blue is only pulling in 25,000 viewers. Where's the 40K that was there last year? Well,
better go home.
Damn, man,
no money to be made here now.
There's only 3 million people watching LCS today on all platforms. There used to be 5. It's over.
I think some of it, though, before we wrap this whole thing up and move into our next segment or go to break real quick, is that when it comes to the dip that people see, I feel like people only use Twitch as a metric.
Twitch, that's it.
I think they forget that there are other platforms that people can consume League of Legends content on.
There are no other platforms.
Yeah, of course. But Twitch and otherwise, or like foreign and otherwise, or domestic and otherwise, I should say, there are so many places going. The numbers are always great. It's
it's like that for everybody. You can go, dude. I've had people come to my stream. They go, Jeff, you've only got 500 viewers, bro. It's nice knowing you, bro.
Yep.
It's like, damn, bro. You're gonna measure my level of success on the 5 minutes you tuned in. And that's like legitimately most people think that esports only exists on twitch.tv.
On Twitch, yeah.
And at that moment where they tuned in, it don't matter if the stream is up for 5 minutes, 5 hours, or 5 days. At that moment, if that number is not what they saw the last time, or that one peak time where League had like a 1.3 million viewers, and then now it's at fucking 400,000, they go, what the fuck? Oh, it's all downhill here, boys.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Crazy.
No.
It's crazy. Well, ladies, we're gonna move into our first break, and when we come back, we're gonna see either Jeff has something that he wants to talk about retro game wise, or we're gonna see how good he is at coming up with something off the top of his head before we talk about movies and stuff. And I believe we're probably at least going to briefly talk about Spider-Man to some degree, I'm sure, and
Spoderman.
We have Spoderman, and we have some other stuff lined up as well. We'll come up with some goodies one way or another. We're pretty good around here coming up with stuff off the top of the head. But first, we got to go to that sellout time. So sit tight, and we will be right back. Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help you, help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provide you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions. We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight. back, ladies and gentlemen, from that quick little breakerino. Hope you enjoyed
Damn, that was
sellout.
quick.
I know.
Holy
I got to make up. I'm still making up for the
For that like 25-minute one you decided to do the other day.
The egg roll debacle. So I'm gonna make up for that.
Shit.
Let me get this over here. There we go. Mr. Black.
Yeah.
Retro games. They're a thing that that people buy and collect and play and sometimes also sell. What are we talking about for Retro Corner, as I'm going to tentatively continue to call this segment?
The Retro
until we have
Corner.
a real name. What do we got for this week?
Well, I don't really have much to talk about, simply because I haven't collected any retro games since that massive lot that I picked up, which I've managed to turn profit on now. And I was at the pawn shop today, and he's interested in buying like the 300 handhelds that I have, so I'm going to work something out with him. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of news, but I did want to mention, and we can kind of turn this into a topic. There is a retro guy that I watch who probably has the best retro video. Actually, he does. He has the best retro video game channel. His name is Metal Jesus Rocks. And it's an old school, like he literally looks like he's from a metal band, big dude. He worked in the gaming sector for a while. I think he worked at Sierra and working on some old games and things like that, and went to school for what did he go to school for? I forget. I think it's some kind of design or graphical thing. I'm not sure. But he managed, or editing. I think he did it for like editing and stuff. But anyway, he's really good. His content is well produced. It's good stuff. I'm going to start modeling some of my retro content off him because he just does such a good job. But I wanted to bring up him because he had a crazy find of 600 big box PC games for $75, which is an absolute steal.
What?
Like an
How did you
absolute.
even pull that off.
Apparently, he his buddy PM'd him on a Craigslist ad. His buddy lived too far away, and said, dude, you need to try and get this. So he didn't really do any bartering at all, and the guy just wanted $75 for quite literally 600. And it's not even exaggeration. Took him 2 like carfuls. Guy drives like a fucking RAV4 like you or some shit very similar. Filled it up to the fucking. There's a video on his channel for those that want to go see it. Metal Jesus Rocks. Tell him that the Bow sent you. But go watch that video. It's crazy. The reason why I wanted to bring it up is because it just brought back so many memories. The big box stuff there is crazy. The guy had games that you've never seen in a bajillion years. And I wanted to bring it up because I was going to ask you guys, is there a big box PC game that you wish you had or that you remember playing? Because there's something special about big box PC games. I don't collect them. They take up too much space. You don't really see them. They're pretty rare because normally, especially old computer games from like the 90s, even 2000s, most people just tear up the box and keep the disc.
Yeah.
They just use the like a PlayStation like disc.
Yeah.
And to see 600 of those games all in one spot in minty, complete in box, I was just I couldn't believe it. It was just absolutely insane.
$70.
$75.
So when are you building the extension to your house, Jeff?
Oh, fuck! If I got all those games, I'd need one.
Dude, cereal box, like you call them like cereal boxes because they were basically the size of a freaking cereal box.
I only ever started collecting PC games, and even then, I don't have a huge collection. They had a very small window of time. I'm gonna say I remember this because I was in college at the time. It was around 2005 or 6. where they started having the hard case DVD cases that were like 2 DVD cases.
Oh
wide.
yeah. They're like thick. It's like
yeah,
thick.
and they fit. Yeah, they fit on a bookcase. They were solid plastic. They had the slip covers in it, and you can fit everything you needed for the game inside of those. I have a bunch of those, and I still have a bunch of those from when I used to buy games, before all the Steam stuff. Actually, we were cleaning out my parents' house because they were moving, and I have like a box of them. I always, for the big box PC game, it's just like you said, way too much space, and it's hard to keep them in good condition. They're cardboard; they fall apart.
Yep.
So I ended up just chucking them over time.
Yeah, like when I saw it, you'd have to watch the video because it's incredible. The video is only like 15 minutes long, but man, it's cars full, and you're seeing games there that I hadn't seen in forever. Like seeing all the Myst games, the old StarCraft, the Command and Conquer boxes, like all the manuals, the inserts, everything. I don't know why a guy sold all of them for $75.
Why?
Like, I don't even know how I could physically let it go
like some
for that
estate
much.
sale or something. Someone died and they're just like, oh, you got all this crap and you said sell it.
What he said in the video was that the guy was collecting forever, and just
it was
wanted
like
to
direct from first party source.
Yeah, and he just wanted to get rid of the stuff. He just wanted to clean out his basement, and just sold it for $75, man, for $600.
Kind of happened when my parents were cleaning out stuff. It got to the point where it's like we just want to get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
We don't want to we just want someone to come and take it away. And it got to the point where they were like, yeah, we'll take $20 for it.
I mean, even if you wanted to get rid of it, you could do $1 a game and get $600 like in a second.
Yeah.
Like you honestly, for complete and box games, there's games in there, like he was showing off some more of the expensive ones. There's ones $80-100 a pop, like rare all day, like all day.
Absolutely.
I mean, if that was me and that came up locally for 600 complete and box PC games, I don't collect for PC at all. But I tell you right now, I would probably pay like I'd probably pay $3 a game, honest to God, and wouldn't even be upset about it. Like I'd be excited. No. The video would be fire. Be like, guys, I just gotta steal. I just gotta steal $3 a game.
All that profit is huge profit. I mean,
$1,800 for 600 complete and box games. I mean, it's crazy.
Like you could have a shit time and still make $3 grand
make that
off
back
of that,
like 30, 40. You'll make back 10, maybe 20, maybe even 30 fold on that. Yep, at $1 or $2 a game.
Yep.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So
yeah, I saw that. It was
crazy. To answer your question, I guess. I mean, there are only so many that I would really like. I mean, some of them had really awesome box art though, like big box PC games. Some of them had some pretty dope box art. Some of them was kind of like whatever. But I guess I would like to have back my MechWarrior 2 box, because I had that. I had a big box MechWarrior 2. I had a big box MechWarrior Mercenaries, I think, which was also 2, like an expansion of sorts.
Instead of a single player campaign, it was more open stuff.
Yeah, so there was that. Those were both pretty fire boxes to have for sure. The Myst stuff, I'd love to have big box of all of it. I just have the 5-year anniversary like collector's bundle box. I still have the box for it and everything, but I don't have like the original, boxes for the individual games.
Chex Quest.
Chex Quest?
What's that? Chex Quest?
You guys don't know Chex Quest? It was a game that came with the cereal Chex.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm seeing it right now.
I know that. Yeah.
That game
Dude, it looks like Doom.
Was fire.
It looks like Doom.
It was like a Doom
basically a Doom mod.
It was like pretty much like but it was a full game, and it was amazing.
Though that is actually, it looks like Doom or Wolfenstein. Looks more like Wolfenstein 3D.
Well, Wolfenstein mod. It's like a Wolfenstein mod.
Basically. It was a fully competent game. Like some marketing guy checks, like, let's make a shooter game, and it was hilarious, and it actually played really well.
So what?
That's an OG big box game.
What replaced the BFG? Did they have the equivalent of a BFG?
Chex Quest, and it's even got an America Online logo on there. 53
if I turn
hours.
around on the first level, did I find a chainsaw?
Chex
If I
Quest.
humped,
Yeah,
That's
like
if I
actually-
humped
your
all
melee
the-
weapon.
Yeah.
dude, there's
Your
a
melee weapon was a was a spoon, which could then all the way upgrade to like a spork that like
Oh
spins.
my god.
dude. There's a Chex
But-
Quest 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, dude, these games like they actually they did the first one and it dramatically increased sales of the cereal, so they kept doing it. And they made sequels.
This actually
Like-
looks like fire, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
The game
I
was a
kinda,
good
wanna
game.
play it.
Yeah, no, I got it and I thought it was going to be a gimmick. And that's why we got it, but when I played it when I was a kid, even then, I'm like, this is a really good shooter. And it wasn't
wouldn't
like, and
mind,
like my mom looked at it, she's like, "Are you playing a game where cereal is like shooting things?" I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much."
Wow.
It's like, okay.
I wouldn't mind.
Wow.
I wouldn't mind having some of the old, Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights. Those
yeah,
boxes
Neverwinter
were
Nights
pretty.
are cool. Yeah, those are
were
nice,
pretty-
nice
pretty
boxes.
I hate you for sending me that article earlier.
Dude,
You
I'm
ruined
telling
it.
you guys, like,
Oh, yeah.
if you were to see this video, it'll
Rip.
blow your fucking, it'll blow your mind.
600, man.
Like literally,
For
he was like, yeah,
$75.
he's like, yeah, when people tell you hundreds of games, it's an exaggeration. Like I've been there and done that before.
Yeah.
And
of
then when you
course.
show up and there's legitimately 600 games, you're just going, what in the almighty fuck, dude?
Oh,
The
yeah.
the original Fallout big box PC, it's got dope
Those
art.
are hard to find, man.
Ooh.
There's Dungeons and Dragons Dark Sun. That looks very dope. The art on the Dungeons and Dragons is just crazy. There's all kinds, man. I'm with you. I like the Neverwinter Nights. I used to own that. I think you did too.
Yeah, I did.
For big box. So the Deus Ex box looks dope too. I was gonna ask, and maybe other people can chime in on this. It doesn't necessarily have to be retro related, although it can be. But what do you prefer, honestly? Do you prefer to buy games on Steam and have your Steam library and have a digital, footprint of your games, or do you prefer to have the physical copy that you can touch and feel and put on a shelf? What do you prefer? I'll start. I prefer to have my games. I love physical games. That's why I prefer to have them on the wall to display. They look great. They're good conversational pieces. And it's like you have a piece of history. You have a piece of something tangible.
You can go back and look at it and be like, "Oh
Yeah.
man, I remember opening this box and I remember installing and playing this game." Yeah.
Exactly. And I find all of my gaming like wow moments or memories has always been with me opening up a game or physically putting a disc in there or sticking a cart in a machine, and it comes with this memory. I never remember buying a game on Steam because the experience is the same every time. There's no art.
There's a reason I buy the collector's editions for Halo, and the reason I buy the StarCraft collector's editions.
Yeah.
It's not because I necessarily want everything inside of them. I just always have had a really good experience opening those collector's editions.
Yeah.
I get, you get like, and those are like franchises I love. So like, that's like part of it. But in my
or sorry to interrupt, but
No, go for
or
it.
there can be, there are people that like, and I'm kind of this way. I'm more this way with Blu-rays, where if there's a game you really love, then you're gonna buy a physical copy of it. If there's a game that it's like, it's another, Uncharted, I'll just grab it on digital. I don't care, unless you love the series. I'm that way with Blu-rays. So, if there's a Christopher Nolan movie that I absolutely love, or there's a movie that had an impact on me growing up, I'm going to go and buy that movie and I'm going to have it on display just to have it. Some of those movies I still have in the packages. I just own just to say I own the copy and just to see it. And at any given time, if I feel like turning it on, once in a 5-year period, or I have a friend over and they're like, I've never seen that. Like, oh shit, well, let's fucking put it in. Even though I know damn well I could go on Netflix, probably stream it, or download it somewhere or whatever in 5 minutes. I'd rather just have that. So I'm kind of that way. There are people that are like that with video games where there's only certain series or things that they'll buy where they want the physical copy. Some people will even have the game on Steam and then say, fuck it, and buy a physical copy as well. Or if it goes on sale, then they'll pick one up down the road or whatever, and do it that way. For me, if I ever have a choice, especially for consoles, if a game is out for PS4, I am buying it at the store. I will drive to the store. I will pick it up. I don't want to buy. I don't want to just do a digital download. Steam is a little different. I think I'm desensitized a little bit with Steam. I can just go and just buy it or whatever. It is what it is. But typically, if it's a game I love, I'm going to buy the physical copy anyway and just install it and do whatever. That's a rare thing because I don't play that many games. But when it comes to retro games, I have to have the physical copy.
You buy them. You need it.
I have to have it. It is just, I get people all the time in the comment section of videos, or I'm going through games that a big lot that I got, and they're going, bruh, why the fuck don't you just download the ROMs? Emulate it. It's free. It runs better. You save.
You sound like King Kai.
Right? That's I do kind of sound like King Kai. You can save it. You can save it. So they, that's what I hear, and they just don't get it. It's like, dude, I love to hold the game. I want to see the
smell
art
of them.
I want to fucking blow into the cartridge. I want to stick it on the wall. I want to hold it. And there's value in this. There's no value in the digital copy. I mean, it's, there you see people trying to sell their Steam accounts on Kijiji for like $200, and they're like, yeah, it's got 30 games. Nobody gives a fuck. You can't hold it. It's like buying fucking canned air. It's a hard sell. It's like, yeah, but it's all compressed. It comes from the mountains of fucking Alaska. You just blow into it, and it's an experience. It's like, dude, it's fucking air. And at the end of the day, it's like, dude, it's a digital game. There's nothing special about it. You have a physical game, and it holds some kind of value. It holds some kind of monetary value, and I like that. And that's just how I am with retro games. There are people that are like, dude, you're retarded. Why in the hell do you have 3,000 games behind you? Why don't you just download a file? It's free. And I don't even play the card like, well, I like to support the companies and the developers. I don't like to pirate. I don't give a shit about that. It's literally, for me, it's having it. I just love it.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of in your camp where I would prefer to have physical copies of some games, but realistically, it just doesn't happen. I don't have the space for it. And it's just a practicality of owning it means you have to maintain it. For me, I buy most of my games on Steam. For PS4, the threshold is pretty high. I will make the decision on if I will buy the game or not. If I would make the effort to go buy it in the store for PS4, I will then go and just digitally download it.
Yeah.
The only things I'll buy physical copies these days are certain franchises that I love, in which case I'm going ham for the collector's edition. Or, like you said, for certain Blu-rays, like for movies, I will go and get a physical copy so that I own it. Because one, the physical media is usually better quality than whatever the hell I'm going to stream on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
And I will get the Blu-ray in the highest quality I can get it. For movies and certain anime series, that's it.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where, again,
it gets crazy. Yeah, it starts looking like
hard
this,
to do,
right? And if you don't have the space for it,
the thing is, like, you have space for it, and you can maintain it in that space, right? Yeah. It's just difficult again for those boxes and keeping them. Like, I would get kind of paranoid. That's why when you had that small window where it was like double width, thick plastic DVD cases, I'm like, sold, easy to store, easy to maintain.
Yeah.
And they got rid of
what
those.
happens? What happens if games went the movie route, where if you go and you buy a physical copy, you get a digital copy? So
I want that.
So if it did that, would you then make the effort to go to the store and physically buy it, knowing that you can get a code on there digitally? You have whatever. I don't know how they would regulate that, because you could give it to a friend or whatever. I know with Blu-rays and stuff, a lot of them do have a digital code that you can actually give to a friend, and then they can download it and put it on their computer or whatever. If they did that for games, would you then make the extra effort just to go and physically have a copy?
again, for me, it just comes down to storage space. If I had the space to do it, I would. It's one of those things that, like I like having like I love having like I can list off the games that I had. Like I had Need for Speed Underground 2, Command and Conquer, like all of those. In those cases, like I remember the whole experience of making my way to the mall when I was in college to get Need for Speed Underground 2. I remember the guy being like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, bro. It's not on sale until tomorrow. I can't give it to you." But and then he got a look in his eye. He's like, "You know what? Hold on a second." And he goes in back, gets a copy out, rings it up for me, and I walk out with it.
There you go.
Like I remember those things about
You
it.
don't get those moments digitally.
You don't get it with
You're
Steam.
at home. It's isolating. It's the same experience as every other game you buy digitally. There's no memory involved in it unless it's a massive release and you're waiting until midnight. But
yeah, I'm disappointed that StarCraft Remastered doesn't have a physical copy, like a collector's edition. I feel like Blizzard missed out. They could have done an art book where they show you the original art from StarCraft with the remastered artwork and like put all of that together. Like I would have gone out and bought that instantly.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I mean,
Adam's the Amazon type. Order it on Amazon.
No,
Don't go outside.
I've only really ordered a couple of games on Amazon. I haven't really done too much with Amazon. I mean, I'll mess with Amazon if they have a collector's edition that you can't get somewhere else, because that happens now sometimes. But I'm kind of, I treat it the same way Jeff is talking about with Blu-rays, and I do the same thing with Blu-rays. If I really like a movie, unless it's dirt cheap and it's not on Netflix and I want to watch it for shits and giggles and it's like $7, then I'll pick up like a Blu-ray or something. Otherwise, I'm buying stuff, that I want to keep longer term and hold on to so I can watch a bunch of times and display it. Otherwise, digital. And the same thing goes for games now, where if I really like the game, odds are I'm going to buy it, a physical copy of it. And this rings mostly true for, or almost entirely based on, I should say, not ringing true for the consoles, because on PC, I just get everything on Steam. I mean, when I go to like a Best Buy or something, and you go to the PC section, it's like the most anemic, kind of sad bargain bin ass looking shit that you've ever seen. And so it's not, you don't even really get to go and buy that. And I don't even have CD drives anymore, in my computers. I don't need them. So I buy almost everything digitally as far as PC games go. For the consoles, the majority of it is still physical copy, for a couple reasons. One, PlayStation's, for example, PlayStation's online downloading is absolute garbage. It is the shittiest server to have ever existed as far as digital consumption that I've used myself. Steam on a bad day is still better than PS4 on a good day. You seem like you're waiting for years to download a single title, especially big one. Because, I mean, we're talking about games that are going 50 gigs now, 40, 50 gigs.
I start the download before I go to work so that it's going to be done when I get back.
Yeah.
Those things take like 4 or 5 hours.
If I'm on Steam and with my internet speed, and I go to Steam and I uncap it and I don't, tell it to ease up, I have a 50 gig game inside of a half an hour.
Yep.
Easy. Yep. I do the same thing on the PlayStation, and I bought a couple of games online, the PlayStation, that were around 30, 40 gigs, and I'm in it for minimum 3 hours. Like at the very least, that's like a good
7 restarts.
That is a good download day if I'm hitting 3 hours. So, and that's especially if it's a release day, because if you're downloading it on a release day,
everybody's downloading it. Yeah.
Oh, you're wrecked, right?
Yeah.
So I still buy mostly physical copies for my console experience. For the PC though, it's just online shit. And it's the same with movies and as much as I would love to say that I'd be the guy that I would love to keep buying stuff and keeping physical media for forever and ever and always, amen.
It's hard to do.
Really, it's hard to do. And the moment I'm sure that people have access to affordable, incredibly high bandwidth internet speeds, which will happen at some point in the future. Even in America, believe it or not, Comcast or not, somebody will have that to some degree. Until then, and when streaming games won't mean that it looks and plays like ass,
Yeah.
people are going to largely still rely on downloading games and playing them locally and treating it like that. But yeah, that's cool. My thing. Buy it if I like it. If not, fuck it.
All right. Well,
Like for
there
the
you go,
DBZ,
folks.
the DBZ Collector's Edition for the first Xenoverse, they didn't have that Collector's Edition in the States. Physically got a friend of mine who lives in the Netherlands to order the European edition, which had the statue, and then ship it to me in the US.
Yeah,
to get that physical edition.
That's redonk.
Yeah. Yeah,
it
exactly.
was worth.
All right, well,
Yeah,
there it
you
is.
wanna hunt down stuff
Retro
like
corner,
that.
boys. Retro. I need a little theme song.
Retro corner.
Retro corner.
There you go. Retro corner theme song locked in. Movies, gents. Those things have been happening.
What?
I know Jeff hasn't been going to many of them because he's been away for a while, but I'm sure there are other hot topics to be covered. I know one of which was that apparently Aladdin is impossible to find. He's like the Where's Waldo of the Brown world. Can't seem to find somebody that can sing and dance and act and looks like Aladdin. So Aladdin's in some trouble.
So Disney pretty much came out and said, hey guys, our casting's having a lot of trouble finding an actor that can act and sing and dance at the same time. And
why don't they get that dude from Slumdog Millionaire?
A lot of people took issue with that statement from Disney, where pretty much I feel like all of India in like one collective voice kind of gasped and was like, what the hell are you guys talking about? We've got an entire industry called Bollywood, which is literally
music,
mastered
man.
and perfected the art of the musical with singing, dancing, and acting. And then all of a sudden, like the whole social justice group came out, and Disney probably actually meant they couldn't find a white person who's similarly enough to pass for that.
It's what they do. Then they whitewash all. They whitewash all that stuff. They just can't find a attractive enough that'll not make you feel, in their eyes, uncomfortable, relatable. Hollywood-like dude that can bring in box office numbers, sing and dance, and all that fun stuff. Fuck getting real singing talent. Let's try and find the fucking Zac Efron of Indian dudes, if we can.
They've cast Will Smith as the genie. They have like 3 actresses that they think are going to be good Jasmines, but they're like trying to figure out who they're gonna like. They need their Aladdin.
Stop. Back up that fucking fun bus for 2 seconds here. Put that shit in reverse and park it on a hill. Did you just say
in neutral?
Did you just say no? I need park plus fucking e-brake on this shit. Did you just say that they cast Will Smith? As the genie.
Yeah. He was gonna do Dumbo. And that ended up falling through, so they put him on for Aladdin. He's gonna be taking the Robin Williams. You know what, dude? I don't know what the fuck is going on with people wanting to fuck up Robin Williams movies, because Jumanji's coming out and that looks like a pile of ass. And now you're gonna come out with Aladdin and you're gonna give it to Will Smith of all people. I love Will Smith, but the guy has been the guy's been striking out lately, and he sure as fuck ain't no genie. So no, that's all I can say.
I wanted to run by it really quickly and hope you guys wouldn't lock in on that one. What'd it do? Okay.
Oh my goodness! Like, Will Smith got announced. He's doing Bad Boys. He's got 2 more Bad Boys movies coming out. That's great. That's awesome.
2 more.
Like
just
Bad
give
Boys.
us a 3rd one. Let's see if it not sucks.
That's great.
It's
all
been,
right,
what,
Martin
10
Lawrence,
years?
Will Smith. But Aladdin, nah, I'm good. So anyway, let's just I digress. The fucking Spider-Man. Let's talk Spider-Man here.
Okay.
Homecoming.
Is
It's
Will
good
Smith
time.
in this one too? Does Will Smith
No.
play Mary Jane Martin?
No.
Yes, he does. He also plays the villain.
Oh fuck.
Oh, good.
It wasn't too
Okay.
bad. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I feel like it's very similar to Baby Driver. What happened? Everyone kind of overhyped this movie, and it kind of actually took away from it for me. I did enjoy it though. It was a perfectly serviceable Marvel movie, a very good Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they kind of overdid it in some aspects. I'm gonna ask you this one, Jeff.
Yeah.
But do you feel like they overused Downey Jr.?
No, I don't think so. I actually like what they did with Downey. There was enough star power in there to get the movie going. Obviously, they advertised Tony Stark quite a bit in just about every trailer there was, but he wasn't in the movie that much. I mean, he appeared a few times. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything. Unlike, I don't know how you can spoil anything in Spider-Man now. We've seen the same shit over and over and over again. But I like what he did for the character, kind of helped him become Spider-Man instead of Spider-Boy. He was kind of like the guy that did the disciplinary dude. That
He's the
kinda,
Alfred to
exactly, yeah, and I kind of like that. And he didn't ham it up too much. He didn't overdo, Tony Stark. We got to see him as Iron Man for a little bit, but it was basically Tony Stark doing Tony Stark, and that's good. I thought Holland did a great job as Spider-Man. I think he's a great Spider-Man, funny, witty. Just is even better Peter Parker. I like him as Peter Parker a lot.
Michael Keaton's performance took it away from me. I feel like he did a good job with it.
Oh, I think Michael Keaton stole the show. I think
he redeemed the whole thing for me.
And Michael Keaton, what I liked about his character is there was depth to him. There was a reason why he was doing these things. You almost cared for him. It's one of these villains where I was kind of on his side to a point where I was feeling for him. I knew why he was doing these things.
I understand you.
I understood him. And, and I like the whole Vulture thing where he would try and scavenge parts. And it was like his whole character, everything that he did worked nicely. It was just well thought out. And that's one thing that Marvel has been kind of shit at is their villains. It's like everything else, their heroes are great, the stories are fun, great action, but their villains have always been kind of lackluster. And I think Michael Keaton may have been the best villain Marvel has had in this whole cinematic universe to date. I think just because of the quality of actor and the material that he had to work with. I thought it was great. I loved him.
Yeah, I think he was I have hated most of the Marvel villains in all of the movies, other than Stain from Iron Man 1, who played by Jeff Bridges. He was actually my favorite villain, and now Michael Keaton's coming up. I'm like, I might have them head to head even in terms of Marvel Universe villains. It's like, yeah, Ultron, whatever. Like, I actually like their human villains better than the ones that are like over the top universal threats. I feel like they're developed better, and they're
it's more grounded. It's more intimate.
Yeah,
you understand. It's not like I'm gonna fucking blow up the planet, boys.
Kind of like a human interest piece type of thing. Like And Vulture tops was really good there. Stain or Warmonger was really good too. Marvel needs more villains like that. I know that's kind of not in the cards with how they're doing things, but I like those villains. Those movies tend to turn out better.
Yep. But I mean, if I had to rate the movie out of 10, I would give it like an 8. It felt slow at some points, and there were some. I found there wasn't enough action, to be honest with you. It was a lot of teen angsty shit, and I'm okay with that because he did a good job with it. But at the end of the day, after the movie, I found myself going.
Character.
I know, but I found myself wanting more Spider-Man, and I got to realize that. It's the first movie in a franchise. We're going to see this character more. We're going to see him in Avengers movies. We're going to see him in his own Spider-Man movies. So this was not an origin story, but it was an origin for Holland as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. So I love what they did with the suit. I loved the arc there. I'm happy we didn't have to go through the whole Uncle Ben thing and all this other shit that we've seen a million times over. You know, I liked Aunt May. I thought it was just good, man. I thought it was the best Spider-Man since
all Marvel movies.
Tobey Maguire's original Spider-Man. Yeah.
The end after the end credits was probably one of the best payoffs I've had.
That was
in
great.
A Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, that was
Marvel
good.
Movie.
Yeah, that was good. So it was decent overall. Would I say run out to go and see it in theater? If you're a big Spider-Man fan, absolutely. If you're a huge Marvel universe type guy or gal, sure. But if I were to talk to Adam, somebody that casually goes to movie theaters, it's definitely a watch at home, enjoy it on Blu-ray with your nice surround sound on a big screen, you know, and eat some chips or pizza and just have a good time. That's where I'm at for it. But it was good. I enjoyed it. Was I blown away?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed Ant-Man. It was kind of like the same. I think I enjoyed Spider-Man a bit more than Ant-Man.
Ant-Man was good, man. Ant-Man was fun.
I kind of left Ant-Man going, okay, we'll see what the next one's like. That's kind of like what I was with Spider-Man. But everybody hyped Spider-Man up, dude. It was like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. People were like, you know, Tom Holland's the greatest thing since Tobey Maguire. Reviews. And I was like, okay, all right. It is what it is.
I feel like if Ant-Man is the benchmark, then I might have had the slightest interest in watching that movie, and now maybe I shouldn't have said Ant-Man. I would say it's more on the level. I would say it's not quite like Deadpool for me. I just enjoy Deadpool way too much, but I would say it's on the level of I would say it's on the I don't know, man. It's not as good as Civil War. It's not as good as the first Avengers. Maybe the second Avengers.
Winter Soldier.
No, Winter Soldier's too good. Yeah, man. Now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, the Spider-Man, it's better than any of the other Spider-Man.
Better than the Thor movies.
Okay. There you go. There, let's go with the Thors. Okay, that's easy.
Right,
yeah,
it's better than the Thor movies. It's better than Ant-Man, but it's not at the level of Winter Soldier and stuff.
Speaking of Marvel Cinematic Universe, that means you saw the Black Panther trailer during the wind-up.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? It was
very
stylistic compared to the ones we usually get.
It is, and the first thing that I had, and I said it right out loud to Wayne, who was with me when I watched Spider-Man. People might hate me for saying this, and I'm sorry, but I feel like it feels very TV. I feel like it feels like a Netflix show. It does not feel cinematic in any way, shape, or form.
You thought he was going to say something else.
I think it looks great. I think there's a lot of great actors in it.
There's a lot of it looked like there was a lot of content and a lot of stuff that probably would have been better served by a TV series.
It's just the way it's filmed, the cinematography, the set pieces. It looks kind of low budget.
Inhuman looked more produced than Black Panther.
Yeah, well,
they showed a trailer for the TV show.
Yeah,
Inhumans, Marvel Inhumans, at the same time.
Inhumans was packaged more like a movie, but when it was actually seeing scenes of it, I was like, that we're on a set. That looks very TV.
You see the B and C list actors.
But
they packaged like a movie.
I'm interested in Black Panther, but it does feel very Netflixy right now. Till I see something a little bit more cinematic.
I saw the poster for Inhumans.
Not Iron Fist Netflix, by the way.
And I was like, nah, that's shit. I didn't have to see anything but that poster. That poster kind of looked like the most awkward class photo I'd ever seen in my entire life. Everybody looked like they either didn't want to be there or they weren't sure what to do with their hands. Like, it was just so weird. Yeah. And it looks so cheap and like poorly produced. Just odd. Yeah, exactly. What do I do with my hands? I don't know where to put them. It's just
curl your index harder.
It looked it looks so bad. I mean, I don't know, maybe it turns out to be pretty good, but that poster did nothing for me. If I had any interest at all, that poster friggin' popped the balloon real quick. It was gone. I wanted to bring this back to Aladdin for just for this question.
Okay.
Because I can't get over the fact that they fucking Will Ferrell. Or no, Will Ferrell, Will Smith. Will Ferrell might even be a better choice, but Will Smith as the genie for this movie. If I don't know tonally what they're going for with this Aladdin, like are they doing like live action recreation of the Disney?
It's
like are they going
pretty much
full
Beauty.
Disney?
It's like Beauty and the Beast. They're doing all the movies again now.
Okay,
it's
in live action
Then-
after.
So then, obviously, if they're going for that, then if tonally it's very similar, my first guess was maybe they're going for a slightly different take on Aladdin. Like they're not going to try and like, package it the exact same way they did with the animation. But if that's the case,
Beauty and the Beast
regardless,
was pretty much carbon copy live action.
yeah, Will Smith is an atrocious pick for that. Is there anyone? I mean, I think we have to ignore the fact that Robin Williams is quite possibly the only person that could ever play the genie for the rest of known time in the context of it being the Disney version of Aladdin. So we have to ignore the fact that they're filling Robin Williams' shoes. Even ignoring that, I don't think Will Smith makes a hell of a lot of sense. Is there anyone you guys can think of that you would put in that role?
I've got no one in my head. Not
No.
like, and again, the problem is anyone you put is going to be compared against Robin Williams, and I don't have anyone who can put that caliber, or even like if you were to scale everything from 1 to 10 with Robin Williams being a 10. Anyone who I can think of would come in at like a 5. I don't have anyone that can match.
Yeah, I just can't. It's just one of those things I can't. Like
He was the outlier.
Yeah, I mean, there's just roles that are so iconic that you just don't redo them,
And that's why I feel like they probably should have shifted this away from the
Should
original.
have done like
because
Cinderella or something.
You know, I think
or
if
not
I had to
Aladdin.
pick somebody, if I had to pick somebody, I would probably say like Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
If I had to pick somebody that was kind of,
or a Chris
you know,
Tucker, like
you know,
that over the top.
yeah, I couldn't. His voice, I couldn't.
The voice wouldn't do it for you.
Eddie Murphy, I
Yeah.
think Eddie Murphy would do a good job. And that's really the only person that I feel like wouldn't overpower it, where you're just like, I'm listening to Eddie Murphy.
They need to take Genie a completely different direction than Robin Williams did.
Maybe even Austin
Like a
Powers.
reimagine.
You know,
you got Mike Myers.
Mike Myers. I think maybe he would do a good job.
I think he plays the good. What was the bird's name? Fucking.
I forget his
whatever.
name. For the bad dude, right?
Yeah.
Or Jafar.
Anyway, I think you got probably yeah.
The Rock as the Genie.
No, stop.
The Rock as the genie.
You know,
I mean, I can. He's got
you know
the size.
What? I would.
I
okay,
can
you know
vision
what?
it.
I would rather have had The Rock do the genie
Will
role
Smith,
than Jumanji. Like if I could axe Jumanji and then just say that The Rock hasn't already replaced Robin Williams somewhere else, then I rather him than Will Smith. No fucking two ways
I
around
just don't
it.
think The Rock has the range for it. He definitely has the musical talent. He definitely has the size and the look. I mean, if you painted The Rock blue and gave him a fucking beard and mustache, I guess
to be fair though, in that case, in terms of not having the range, to be fair to The Rock, when they cast Robin Williams, they didn't think he'd be able to pull it off either with the singing and everything else because he wasn't a singer. And then Robin Williams just fucking.
I mean, The Rock definitely has
smashed
musical
that.
chops, man. He can sing. The more I think about it, I think The Rock actually is a
Patrick
good.
Harris
I think The Rock is a good
pitched.
choice, but I'm tired of seeing The Rock and everything, and so I'm just saying no to it because it's The Rock. But you're right. I'd
What about
rather
Neil
see him play
Patrick
Aladdin.
Harris?
Or the genie in Aladdin than whatever fucking character he's playing in Jumanji. Thing is,
Do
with
we know
Jumanji,
if-
he's not redoing. it's a
He's not
sequel.
redoing a role.
This is
it's a new,
after.
it's a new movie.
Yeah, it's not like he's taking Robin Williams' character or anything. It's just they're borrowing the name essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it's just this. It's in a similar vein. They're related one way or another. You know, people are going to think Robin Williams, right? Do we know if the Genie is going to also be live actor, or are they going to just CG the Genie
No,
in?
they'll CG.
Well, they
it'll definitely be like
they
motion
CG'd
capture.
the Beast. They CG'd the
Yeah.
Beast for the Beauty and the Beast. Same idea.
It'll be
So
motion
then-
capture.
You guys can both shoot me for this. I'm going darkest of the dark horse on this one. Like, we're talking nobody would ever pick this. So brace yourselves for it. Strap yourselves in. John Goodman.
No, stop
No.
the madness.
I'd rather have Neil Patrick Harris than John Goodman.
No, John Goodman. I can't even
I think-
picture. He's
I
just
think-
too serious. I mean, if it went dark, if you were like a darker Aladdin, like on the streets of India, and it's like fucking Aladdin's getting beat up, and he's got to find Jasmine, and
Dude,
they're fucking.
John Goodman's got.
He's talented as fuck, bro.
He's funny as fuck, dude. That dude.
Yeah, but
is,
no,
is,
not
he's
as
got
the-
humor.
not
He's
as
just
the
been doing all
Genie.
serious shit.
Yeah, not as the.
I think he's
Genie.
got it. I think
No.
he's got it. Give me
No,
John
I
Goodman.
think-
I'd still take John Goodman over Will Smith.
I actually think Eddie Murphy is probably the best.
I
best
agree with Eddie.
of the best. I think Eddie Murphy would
Eddie
be the
could
guy
work.
where I'm
Eddie would
like,
work.
I'd be excited to see him do it.
Yeah.
And he would treat it with respect. It comes from comedy. He's got a singing voice. He is literally, I think, the #1 guy for it. But no,
Here's
I
a
don't see
random
John
one.
Goodman. I like John
Wayne
Goodman
Brady.
though. I like John Goodman.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean Jim Carrey. It's not Jim Carrey's had his
Wayne
time.
Brady.
Wayne Brady.
Ooh,
Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady would be a good one. That would be a
He
good
can
one
sing.
too.
He can dance. He's got
puts
like
on
the.
a
He's got
lot
Can
of
he act
voices.
though? Right? Can he actually go
He's
and
got.
deliver?
He can do the voices. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
Like you've seen
He's
him
a-
on
he-
Who's Line.
he's-
I
he's
think
a-
he can pull off a Genie.
Yeah.
And he's all one-liners.
Yeah,
I like
mean,
Wayne
yeah,
Brady.
he's a comedian. He's improv. Robin was improv. He transitioned. I think if you can do improv, you can fucking do voiceover for the Genie.
I like Wayne Brady. I think that's my.
I like Wayne Brady too.
That's-
I think
about
that's
it.
my new number
That's a
one.
good point. Yeah, I think
Then
that's
I
a
put
good
I
Eddie
put
Murphy
Wayne
there.
Brady coming in as like maybe a 6 or a 7 on that scale.
And
I
you
was
know
saying
what's nice
earlier.
about Wayne Brady too is he doesn't have that much star power. He's like a fucking C-list celebrity. So
Yeah.
you know, you when you hear it, you wouldn't hear Wayne Brady. It
Exactly.
would, you know, it would be a hint of Wayne Brady, but you wouldn't be thinking the whole time, oh my God, it's
It's Wayne
Eddie
Brady.
Murphy or somebody. Although I still think Eddie Murphy would
But for
be
the
okay.
Genie, that's kind of what you would want. You don't want to overshadow Robin because everyone's going to think the immediate comparison is going to be Robin Williams, the Genie. But if
Yeah.
you get someone who can do the interaction and stuff, is not necessarily trying to overshadow Robin Williams' performance, that is like a B/C list actor who
Yeah.
isn't huge, who's not going to be trying to make this like some huge specific blockbuster just for their name.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I feel like would do more honor to
Well,
the name, kind of.
We'll end it right there. Wayne Brady. I think
Yeah.
that's the
I think
show.
the show.
But it's not actually. It's Will
Wayne
Smith.
Brady.
It's not
so-
going to be. It's Will Smith.
Yeah, it's Will Smith, and
Will
we
Smith.
all have to go home and sleep,
Cry.
knowing that Will Smith is going to be the Genie in Aladdin, and that's just
There's
sad.
a parallel
So,
universe where Wayne Brady got it.
That's
Just
true.
live with that solace.
There's also a parallel universe where John Goodman got it, motherfucker.
No, there's not even a universe.
No, that universe was
Not even a
destroyed
universe.
a long time
Are
ago.
you telling me in an infinite universe, John Goodman still doesn't manage to get a role? To
I would love
Genie?
to see John Goodman in a Marvel movie as like a fucking villain or something. But
Oh,
no,
my goodness.
not as the Aladdin or the Genie.
Well, ladies and
The
gentlemen,
Aladdin
we're gonna wrap
gentleman.
it. We're gonna wrap it up there. We've got to transition into our tech support segment. But for those of you watching on YouTube and listening on the RSS feed, this marks the end for this segment for you guys, and you'll be able to pick up the next somewhere around Wednesday of whatever you're listening to this, unless you're just listening to this way later, in which case you can already move on, and it's okay.
There you go.
So we're gonna toss it over from there. We're gonna wish the folks at home listening that have to wait a thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of Technical Alpha, and we hope to see you show up again for tech support midweek. For those of you here on Twitch, sit tight. We will be continuing shortly after this little sellout break. But yeah, until we see ya, peace. Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provide you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions. We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight.